experience, I can say, because I remember I was a student of this institute way back in 73 to 75, and in fact at that time you can see some of the activities that were happening in institute was far ahead of the rest of what the country was doing, because today we are all quite familiar how being aware of what's happening in very different disciplines or interdisciplinary is a requirement. At that time, when I joined here, I joined a course which was called as physical engineering. Probably you would have heard of chemical engineering, bioengineering, etc. But physical engineering was meant to be a course bridging the gap between scientists and engineers. That's how the course started. So I am a beneficiary of that course, and my entire career from the Living Institute to Space Application Center and ISRO has been a result of that particular training which I had in this institute. In fact, today, as we also see that the way in which things are changing in the world and the manner in which technology changes is so rapid that making standards for anything is always a big problem. And like we always hear, both the government regulations and standards are always much late, very late. And particularly in today's context, when you see the pace at which the events are happening and the cycle time of products are shrinking. When the product life cycle times are shrinking, the role of standards itself many times becomes questionable, because by the time you have come up with a standard, maybe that product is no longer is overtaken by something else. But then does it mean that we should not be doing anything? So obviously not. Obviously it is not an option. And this is where, if you look at drones and all these, see, when we started our space activities, we had in some ways the advantage that things were moving at a relatively slow pace, you can say. When we started from scratch, because of the nature of the activity that was there, military and dual use, information was not easily accessible, but then you had time to build and develop. But then by the time we reached a level where we had a decent capability of building 3 to 4 versions of launch vehicles, satellites and its application, world has moved ahead quite a bit. So today, if you see, earlier years it used to be only the prerogative of the nation states to conduct events in space, but today the private enterprise is actually doing activities totally outside the governments. So the governments are forced to bring in new regulation, new enabling environment. Even in our own country, you are seeing how the government is trying to make the whole space activity to be conducted by private enterprise, etc. And here you can also see that some of the governments across the globe, though they themselves do not have any space activity, they are giving licenses to the companies for exploiting things from asteroids, mining, etc. So many times what happens is, as the technology changes, the pace needed for both making the best use of that technology and then also ensuring that this technology is not going to cause other problems to the society and other problems to living on this planet Earth becomes that much more important. And today, if you see in terms of drones, the way it has grown, you can see, in fact, I remember reading a particular article where a small, like a fly, enters the room, moves around, and when it starts feeling less power, it goes close to a light source, recharges itself, collects all the information from this place and moves out. So many of people would not have been aware that this is actually a spy activity which is going on. So today, in that context, if you see drones, small, mini, micro, nano, and then macro, all these things are happening simultaneously. And in this context, the manner in which, whether somebody was talking about a biofuel and how biofuel is essential for pollution control, etc. Today already we are also seeing how even non-biofuel drones or other flying objects are coming, and the flying objects without moving parts. So this is a real challenge. But anyway, these challenges are bound to be there, and the pace at which technology changes is going to be faster and faster. But in the context of all this, it is also very important to make sure that we have a semblance of an order, and that is where activity what is planned today by the Bureau of Indian Standards is something which should definitely complement, because it's only when we start sitting together and address various issues that are required and then see what are the things that we need to bring out. And already in his opening thing he has shown the scope is quite enormous, and also the today as we see the pace at which the technology is changing, those who are in the control of those technologies, how they can manipulate the entire world. Today, I don't think I need to tell to this audience the manner in which a small gadget which you are holding converts you into a targeted consumer, and by that your thought processes are also being in some way influenced and modified. But then India as a country, if you look at, has always shown to the rest of the world that it is the value system which is retained in this longest surviving civilization, which is making a difference to sustainability of life on this planet Earth. And just two examples would probably bring home the point. One is the way India managed COVID, and then how it showed that even in such crisis, it is necessary to look at the entire humanity on Earth as an important activity and not just take advantage of the situation and earn more. And that's what India showed at that time, not only by providing through the technology and solutions to the problems that we faced in this country, but also providing solutions to others. In a similar manner, today you are seeing how the digital payment system, the fintech solution, how it is actually becoming a very different solution to the problems of the world. But then today, if you look beyond that, obviously space is also the fourth frontier, and between space and Earth, all the intermediate region also is being occupied by gadgets which are becoming so non-intrusive, but at the same time which can have impact on the privacy. He was talking about privacy laws or data privacy, or even what you can say is intrusion into your own individual activities. So in all this, every new technology brings with it a new set of problems, and it's here. I don't think we have a clear solution, and clear solutions are always not possible, simply because if you want to establish such a thing, you need to have time for bringing in the product and then make it available globally and then control it. And today, because of the easy access of not only information but also the new kinds of tools that are available, the next generation is able to bring faster and better solution to many of the problems. And in fact, I remember just about 3 weeks back, there was a science exhibition program in Pune where the 8th and 9th standard students, they have built using some of the gadgets available in washing machine and fridge, a small gadget which can be taken up to 10 kilometers, collect sample there. Earlier I remember we were doing cryo sample picking up from space for doing studies on the kind of panspermia, etc. But today school students are in a position to devise methods of picking up material from space and bringing it back. So changes happening are very quick, very fast, and when the fast changes are occurring, how do we deal with it? Societal changes also become so much faster, and then more and more conflicts will be there. So like it was pointed out, when you want to build a drone with a capability you want to test somewhere, already you see some people objecting it to, saying that you cannot do this. And then these are the problems that you have to face. But in spite of all those problems, we need to find solutions, and we need to make sure that not only sustainability is ensured, but also life on planet Earth actually is ensured in the coming decades and centuries. If that has to happen, it can happen only when those who can think of the entire world or entire planet as a single sustainable entity. Not human beings are superior or human beings have the right for everything in the world. It is not that thought process which is going to make a difference. And this is where India has started making its presence felt. And I'm sure in the coming decades, what we will definitely see is many of the problems that the nation is facing or the humanity is facing actually will find solution, because only those thought processes of people who look at entire life on planet Earth is more important than just survival of one species. Though the examples of the past have shown that probably we have gone through many cycles of development and then maybe destruction and then restarting. But then even compared to those times, today the manner in which humanity lives and the consciousness level and the tools that they have for surviving on this planet Earth is so very different. And it is here that all of us definitely have a role to play. And events like this, where you are trying to bring in people who are participating in these activities, bring their thoughts together and put together a set of mechanisms that need to be followed, both in making it, manufacturing it, making it available for use, and post its use, how it should be dealt with. It's a host of activities which needs to be done. And in this, I just have a couple of suggestions to the Bureau of Indian Standards. One is, today what we see, all those who are required to actually run administration, no matter what it is, governance, whether it is governance of airspace in India or just people governing states or corporations, etc. Those who are actually running these institutions, they are hard pressed for specific information on what solution is appropriate, and if we are able to provide to them solutions with pros and cons, then definitely they'll make a better choice. Otherwise, in the chair they are sitting, they are required to solve the problems of yesterday. They do not have time. So whatever is accessible, they are ready to go ahead, irrespective of its implication. And if we have to make a difference for tomorrow, instead of just looking at what is happening just now, we also need to bring in mechanisms where we can look at what kind of solutions are going to be better few years down the line. It is not that we should give high priority to that, but we should definitely give high priority to today's problems. But at the same time, give enough attention where if we are looking at that future activity, less resources and less funding today will give a better solution for tomorrow. That aspect, if Bureau also keeps in mind, and then brings in the mechanism of bringing in academic institutions across the country, posing challenges to them, and through those challenges conducting calendar-based events on the basis of which you can look at solutions for future, would also be a good approach, is what I feel. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to come here and share with you some of the thoughts. Wish you all the best.